Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's legendary. I mean, it's one of the greatest horror books of all time. I mean, it's created the most iconic villain ever. And I finally got to read it. It's something that has been on my to-do list for years. And how is it? I mean, to say it's great is an understatement. It's over 100 years old, so if you're not ready to adjust if you're not willing or ready to adjust to the writing style, then this will probably be a difficult read for you. However, I think it's the story and the characters that really manifest throughout this book. And if you're not familiar with the story of Dracula, Dracula follows a man named Jonathan Harker who has traveled to Transylvania, and he has this customer who is wanting to buy this amount of land named Count Dracula. And Count Dracula is this old man, and the longer that Jonathan Harker stays with Dracula, the weaker he gets and the younger Count Dracula gets. And as Jonathan Harker figures out what Dracula is, he starts to figure out Dracula's insane plot, and eventually this sets him on a path where Harker is on this adventure to slay Dracula and enlist the help of the likes of Mina and Van Helsing and all sorts of other really great characters. For me, this book starts out very foreboding. I mean, the castle stuff is all very haunting and slow. It's a great slow burn where Harker is figuring out what Dracula is, seeing him climb up walls and seeing these mysterious women and phantoms throughout the castle. And you ever wonder if he's actually ever going to leave. And once it starts getting outside of the castle and Harker and the others start traveling throughout the world trying to figure out where Dracula is going next, how to kill him, and learning the history of the vampire, that is also really compelling because Dracula just leaves this wake of terror behind him. And he almost comes off as this unstoppable being at first. And seeing the characters learn from Dracula's habits and his abilities and his weaknesses is really fascinating and compelling stuff, because with each kill they get to learn more about him and about his weaknesses and when he travels and when he does not decide to travel, and particularly how to defeat him. And I mean, the best character for me in this book is Van Helsing. I mean, Van Helsing's always been my favorite character in any of the movie adaptations as well. Even Hugh Jackman's portrayal is really cool, but having Dr. Van Helsing be this doctor who has spent most of his life healing people and is now looking to destroy this thing, and his drive to defeat this, this Count of Death, just makes him this all-around great character. And I mean, a book is really only as good as its villain, and like I said earlier, Dracula is the most iconic villain ever. I mean, everybody knows who Dracula is. Even if you haven't seen a single Dracula film, you know about his weaknesses. You know pretty much the extent of his backstory, at least the common ones that are explored throughout each film and each book. Seeing Dracula as he was originally portrayed nearly 100 years ago puts a lot of it into perspective. And there's a reason that this character has remained iconic. There is no actor that owns Dracula. I mean, there are actors that have been great as Dracula, like Bela Lugosi and Christopher Lee, but Dracula is so huge that he goes beyond all these actors and all these films, and why he will continue to live on for another 100 years. Dracula is a golden age read, and it has inspired generations of writers like Stephen King, Clive Barker, and myself. And of course I recommend it. I mean, it's a must read. It's one of those reads that you have to do before you die. Even if you're not a fan of horror, I feel like Dracula is a must read, sort of like Tom Sawyer or Romeo and Juliet. It's just a classic. So Dracula, written by Bram Stoker. Which version have you read, as whether it be the abridged or the unabridged version? Do you have an actor that is your favorite to portray the character? What is your favorite Dracula film or vampire film? Comment below, let me know. My books are available on ebook and paperback. Thanks always for watching.